Alright, here we go, everyone. So this is the start of the B-side run. I don't know what actually changes in the B-side run, gameplay-wise. I know there's going to be new story elements, but I don't know what's going to change gameplay-wise.
Whenever I interacted with Kaine, I was reminded about something from my past.
Aha, look at this.
Maybe my mind has been confusing her with my sister this whole time.
It looks like we're going to start from when Kaine gets revived, which is actually a big chunk into the second half of the game. Yeah. Huh. This freaking music, man. It's so good. You know what I'm realizing? Some of the music in this game was used in NieR Automata 2. Like, that song definitely was only, like, once. Oh, Kaine's Dreams Discrimination. But I think, a lot of the music actually was used. And I'm just noticing now, I'm remembering, oh yeah, that was the sound or the song when you were going through the city in NieR Automata and stuff. They reused a ton of it, right? Alright, here we go. So I guess we're gonna have another text adventure, probably backstory with Kaine, I would assume. Okay? Alright, here we go. The sound of rain filled the village. The steep cliffs that surrounded the area magnified sound, causing even the slightest drizzle to rattle like a thunderstorm. Thin wisps of smoke streamed from huts as the villagers huddled in their homes and waited out the rain. A single child, however, braved the downpour and was now wandering slowly toward the wooden hawk-shaped weather vane at the center of town. The wanderer reached the vane, which had existed for as long as any could remember, and stared. The child's face was simultaneously delicate and fierce, like a teacup that had survived a shipwreck. Those traits combined with pale white skin to give the face an almost sexless quality. If the beak turns east, I go home. If it stays west, then I... The child blinked. The rain slowly dripped down the young one's short hair and began its long descent to the ground. Come on, come on! The child felt a slight breeze and watched as the vein slowly creaked to life. Spinning this way and that for a moment, it finally settled with the beak pointing firmly towards the east. Which means you go home. East? Really? Before the vein could move again, a jagged rock came spinning and tumbling through the air, striking home against the child's head. The force of the blow dropped the child to the ground as a hail of stones fell all around. Someone's stoning the child. Oh no, they found me. A heartbreaking smile crept across the child's face as the stones continued their assault. Through the rain, the sound of multiple footsteps grew louder before a voice rang out. Yuhu Kaine. The voice belonged to Demo, worst of all the bullies in the area. As Kaine struggled to stand, a final stone came skittering through the mud and bounced against her foot. Blood oozed from a cut above her eye and blurred her vision. She could make out the shapes of Demo and his usual gang of idiots. Let's see here. The voice seemed taken aback for a moment by Kaine's seeming indifference to the blood dripping from her face, but he quickly regained his bravado. What's up, freak? You like the rain? Getting all wet? Or did you finally decide to run away from home? Though she knew it was futile, Kaine turned to leave. Before she could get more than a few steps, the other children scrambled to surround her, cruelly burning in her eyes. Kaine knew those were not the only eyes on her. The tormentor's parents watched from the safety of their homes. She was attuned to the sensation. It was one she had experienced many times before. So apparently, even the parents of these bully kids approve of them bullying. Wow. What a great society this sounds like. I mean, the area's been a pretty shitty place the whole game. People are all assholes, you know, stuck in their houses. They won't come out. Bunch of dicks. While some villagers simply turned a blind eye to the ashes of their children, many encouraged it openly, see? What the hell? In a society ruled by superstition and fear, Kaine was something to be hated and if possible destroyed. I wonder why. Was she has magic power? Or maybe because she has the black scroll? I didn't say you could leave, freak. Demo's words chewed at her like a worm through an apple. He can't hurt me, she lied to herself. Be strong, be brave. He can't hurt me, he can't hurt me, he can't. Oh, look, the little freak's gonna cry. What's wrong? You sad everyone hates you and wants you dead? Jesus Christ. Kaine prayed for the rain to flood down and carry her away with a world that seemed to have no place for her. If there were gods, they chose to ignore her. As Demo crept even closer, the clouds began to thin and the rain slowed. Even the weather hates me. I'm useless. A failure. I wish Demo's rock had taken my head right off. Kaine couldn't meet Demo's leering gaze. She lowered her eyes and stared at the muddy ground below. The bully moved forward until he was inches away. She could smell the scent of old meat on his breath. Ugh. The fuck? What's for dinner? I believe tonight we are going to have turkey burgers with homemade macaroni salad. My wife's making the macaroni salad. I'm cooking the burgers. So it's you know, sharing the responsibility kind of a meal tonight. The boy grabbed Kaine's face with thick fingers and yanked it upward. She tried to turn away, but he forced her gaze back and jammed his thumb against her eyelid to pry it open. Show me. No. Did you say no? He grinned evilly. You don't say no to me. No one says no to me. Not even taking his attention from Kaine, he called to his cohorts, come on, let's give the freak what she deserves. As soon as Demo finished, she kicks and blows began to rain down upon Kaine. Demo paused, still grinning, and Kaine curled into a ball and tried to make the pain stop. I don't get you, freak. What you acting like a girl for? Everyone knows what you really are. Kaine ignored the question, choosing instead to stare at the weather vane. He continued to point east as if supremely confident about the future he had chosen for her. Go home? Yeah, it's a funny joke for someone with dead parents and no home to go to. Freak, chanted the children. Freak, freak, freak. Kaine closed her eyes and listened to the rain, waiting for the pain to start again. As the clutching hands of the village children closed around her, she bent her mind to the sound of the rain, letting it become her world entire. The rain fell, but the pain never came. Only when the laughter of her tormentors turned to terrified cries did she dare open a single blood-caked eye. Kaine was shocked to see Demo sprawled on the ground, holding his head and screaming in pain. She could see blood welling from spaces between his fat, twisted fingers. Oh my god, he's crying? He's actually crying? Deprived of their leader, the other children glanced back and forth between themselves, waiting for someone to step forward and take charge. When no savior emerged, they began an uneasy shuffle away from Kaine. But the young girl was the least of their concerns. Instead, their attention was wrapped on an ancient woman standing a few feet away. After struggling for breath for a moment, she finally spoke in a voice thick with rage. Hurts like a bitch, don't it? Now I suggest you scatter before I throw another one. If any of you little bastards ever touch my Kaine again, I'll do far worse than throw a rock. You can count on it. Okay, so who came to her rescue? The old woman crouched down and gently touched the hand Demo was using to cover the wound. Before he could think to protest, she ground her palm into the wound and twisted back and forth. Ow! He screamed, leaping to his feet. Stop it! What are you doing? Quit whining! Ain't no one ever died from a scratch. Hit me with a rock, you stupid bitch. A big one. That thing could have killed me. The old woman shrugged. Death is the best cure for stupid. Demo's face twisted with rage at her words. Locking his eyes on Kaine, he took a step backward and spat on the ground. Get out! Leave this village. No one wants you here, either of you. Seeing the old woman grab another stone, Demo and his companions turned tail and ran. As they fled, the old woman grabbed her side and barked out a single laugh. Ha! Look at that fat boy go. Guess he's healthy enough to run from a fight. The woman's smile faded as she turned her attention to Kaine. Kneeling down, she removed her shawl and placed it around the young girl's shoulders, then produced a cloth from the folds of her dress and began blotting at the blood on her forehead. Oh, Kaine, she said. Why didn't you fight back? You're stronger than that lot. The words of her grandmother stung Kaine, and she turned away, since this is her grandmother, apparently. Don't be nice to me, she said. I don't deserve it. Nothing matters anymore. Her tears, held in check for so long, finally began to fall on the muddy ground below. Everyone hates me. They think I cause bad things to happen, and they think I'm a freak. I wish I was dead. As Kaine's tears turned to sobs, she felt her grandmother's hands on her shoulders. Despite her advanced age and diminutive size, she was a woman of surprising strength, and Kaine found herself unable to turn away. Don't talk like that, girl. It's a river wide and deep that flows between the realms of this world and the next, and it grants no mercy to any that accept that crossing. You got a duty to fight until your last breath. Understand? The old woman tightened her grip and tried to still the tremor in her voice. You know the pain of losing someone close to you, Kaine. You know because you survived it. As the words hit home, Kaine was struck by the force of her love for the old woman. As a young child, she didn't even know of her grandmother, but when her parents died, the woman quickly accepted her as her own. Grandma, as Kaine called her, was cunning, vulgar, and quick to violence, and their first few years together had not been easy. Uh-oh, the chopper's finally coming for me, guys. But with each year that passed, Kaine and her grandmother had grown closer. However, it was only now, sitting in the mud with tears and blood caking her face, that Kaine truly understood the depths of her affection. Here was a woman who had seen hard times, who had seen death, who had fought through all of these things and somehow emerged on the other side. If anyone could understand Kaine's pain and loneliness, it was her. Do I make you sick, Grandma? Of course not! Don't be an ass! Kaine drew her grandmother's moth-eaten shawl around her body and shuddered. But my body, it's not normal. If I was normal, Mom and Dad wouldn't... Hush, interrupted Grandma. I'll not hear another word of this nonsense. You're my granddaughter, and I love you. And if folks have a problem with that, they can just go to hell. With that, the old woman reached out and placed a wreath of dried flowers in Kaine's hair. The skill it took to bend the flowers without breaking the stems or losing a single petal was remarkable, And the beauty of it made Kaine want to cry all over again. Huh. Oh my gosh, these are lunar tears. Grandma, you made this for me? Lunar tears were legendary flowers. Most people could live their entire lives without ever seeing one. Yet her grandmother somehow collected a dozen or more. Kaine reached up and touched the wreath as if she couldn't believe it was real. Where'd you find these? Just stumbled on them while I was out doing the shopping. The old woman turned away as she spoke, leading Kaine to suspect the search had been more difficult than she was letting on. The pains she took to construct the ornament, let alone track down the flowers used in its construction, made Kaine's heart hurt. She reached up and gently adjusted the wreath, admiring the way it felt between her fingers. Didn't quite turn out right, said her grandmother as she squinted at it. These old hands have trouble with delicate work, but it sure looks good on a pretty girl like you. Kaine blushed and turned away. Excuse me. You think I'm pretty? Of course you are. What a fool thing to say. Thank you, Grandma. Her grandmother smiled. We're gonna be fine, you and me, she said. As long as we got each other, we'll just be fine. Kaine took her grandmother's hand in hers, and the two of them struggled to their feet. As they began the long walk home, Kaine gripped a hand with all of her might, as if trying to stop smoke from drifting away on the wind. The rain had stopped. Kaine stood beneath the weather vane, watching it spin in crazy circles, no longer caring about the direction that it faced when it stopped. I don't need to escape. I have a home now. Grandma loves me, and that's enough. Even if it's us against the world. Kaine let her gaze drift up past the vane and into the cloudy sky. The last faint hints of a rainbow were slowly fading. As she turned and headed for home, the light scattered into a million particles and vanished, seemingly taken away on the breeze. The end. Kaine's dreams daily life. Oh boy. Oh boy. How? I'm gonna have to be reading for like an hour, aren't I? Oh boy. This is all Kaine's backstory, but they didn't animate any of it. They didn't animate any of it. Alright. Are we ready? Alright. In the distance, Kaine heard the steady sounds of an axe striking wood. The noise had a purposeful quality to it, as if she was hearing a master swordsman go about his work. The firework being produced, however, was as far from a work of art as it could be. Pieces of every shape and size were being flung about a barren yard with wild abandon. Anyone trying to stack such wood would probably die of frustration before the job was through. Stupid piece of shit axe. Kaine's grandmother flailed away with the axe, filling the air with both splinters of wood and words that would take the most hardened sailor blush. Grandma, called Kaine. Now we know where she learned her dialogue, right? Ugh. Is that you, Kaine? Yelled the old woman, taking her eyes off the wood for a moment. Don't get too close, or I might take your goddamn foot off by mistake. She brought the axe down on a piece of wood, sending chips flying in every direction. Once one passed Kaine close enough for her to hear the whistle, at which point she decided to step back. Once she scuttled to a safe distance, she cupped her hands around her mouth and shouted, Grandma! Do you need help? I can get you water or lunch or a new axe or something. The axe, poised to strike yet another wobbly blow, paused in midair. The old woman considered her granddaughter's offer for a moment and then smiled. Tell you what, since I'm doing such a piss-poor job of chopping, why don't you come here and take over so I can get water? Shades have been restless lately, and I don't want you running into one of them bastards. Relinquishing the axe, her grandmother picked up a long pole with wooden buckets on either end. Gathering water was by far the more difficult of the two jobs, but Kaine knew better than to complain. Once Grandma's mind was set, there was no changing it. Kaine did her best to help with the chores, but Grandma took every task that required travel to the village. Though she had a long list of plausible excuses, Kaine knew the real reason. She didn't want her granddaughter to be taunted and harassed by the villagers. Once Kaine moved in, Grandma decided to take up residence a good distance from the Eyrie. Out of sight, out of mind seemed to be the best policy when it came to the villagers and her granddaughter, and rare were the days when any but the two of them could be found on the rocky acre of land called home. Kaine enjoyed the solitude, but harbored a secret resentment for her grandmother that was forced to spend her golden years in such of a place. After watching her grandmother leave, Kaine turned her attention to the task at hand. She had never chopped wood before her life, and soon discovered why the old woman hated the chore. Swing after swing of the axe produced only a tiny crack in the wood, and when she finally managed to connect with a solid stroke, the tool embedded itself with the log and then refused to budge. Frustrated, Kaine swung the axe around her head and threw it, long and all, across the yard. Damn it! Ah, crap! She suddenly understood the joy her grandmother felt in a good curse. Happier now, she picked up the axe, forced it from the wood, and resumed chopping. She had a natural skill with the blade, but the task was challenging, and the blisters soon began to form on her small pink hands. This is tough. My logs are all weird sizes. Spinning on her palms and ignoring the pain, Kaine redoubled her efforts. Just as she was developing a rhythm, Grandma returned from the village. Sitting down her buckets with a small sigh, she took one look at the logs and coughed out a wheezy laugh. Pretty clumsy, girl. You better practice if you... Her grandmother suddenly collapsed to her knees, causing one of the buckets to wobble precariously. Eyes wide, Kaine dropped the axe and ran to her grandmother's side. Grandma! The old woman shook her head and pointed her trembling finger at the bucket. Get the bucket. Can't let it spill. Kaine steadied the bucket with a foot. She knelt by her grandmother. A small bit of water sloshed over the side and made a new home in the hem of her dress, but Kaine didn't notice. Grandma! Grandma, what's happening? Crazed with panic, she grabbed her grandmother by the shoulders and shook. After a moment, the woman lifted her arms and batted Kaine away. Stop that! Just stop, she cried, breathing heavily. It ain't like I'm dying. Just tired from the trip is all. Kaine desperately wanted to believe her, but one look at the woman's shaking hands and worn face told her more than words ever could. Her grandmother had lived a long, hard life, and it seemed that that bill was finally coming due. The time when her grandmother watched over Kaine was ending. Sooner than either of them had even feared, the positions would be reversed. The next morning, Kaine came to the side of her grandmother's bed and took her wrinkled hand. Grandma, you're sick and you need medicine. I'm going to the village. The old woman shook her head and tried to rise, but Kaine gently pushed her down. It's all right, she said. I'll be fine. Her grandmother fixed her with a gaze that could melt steel. After what seemed like an eternity, she finally lowered her eyes and sighed. Well, I don't like you, goddammit, but I guess I shouldn't quit being so stubborn and let you grow up. The old woman watched as Kaine strapped on her boots and made her way down the road to the village. Hours later, an unseen sun made its way across the dark and rainy sky. Still she was watching. Kaine moved at a brisk pace, checking her pockets every few minutes to make sure that the money her grandmother gave her was still there. You know, I used to be like that too. If ever, like, I was going to do something important and I needed something like my wallet or money, I would constantly be checking, do I still have it in my pocket? I'd be nervous about losing it. Every noise caused her to spin on her heels, making sure she wasn't being stalked by a shade, or worse, Demo and his gang. But she encountered neither tormentors nor shades, and Kaine finally found herself at the entrance to the village. The few adults that she could see glanced sideways at her, then muttered to each other behind raised hands before slinking away into the shadows. Her heart racing, Kaine took a series of rapid, shallow breaths and tried to calm herself. Was I close to my grandma? No. Both of my grandmothers I've never met. My grandmother on my mom's side passed away when I was a baby, and my grandmother on my dad's side, apparently there was a falling out in the family and moved away from Connecticut. I think that they lived in like my grandparents on that side lived in like Arkansas or something. I've never met them. For me, my grandmother was actually my great aunt. My mom's aunt was kind of my pseudo grandmother, and for holidays we would go over there and spend time with her, and I called her grandma. So I never really met my real grandmother. Okay. Yes, I will be streaming Resident Evil 8 tomorrow. Okay. So I have to prove myself. I have to help Grandma. I have to be strong. She chanted those words to herself over and over as she slowly made her way. Finally, her eyes settled on a round... Oh, excuse me, round. Let's try this again. Sorry... Okay, I gotta redouble my efforts here because I screwed up. Ready? Finally, her eyes settled on a rotund older woman who was angrily waving her arms in the air and telling anyone who would listen exactly what she thought of Kaine's presence. Hey, lady, said Kaine with a bravado she did not feel. Where's the apothecary? The woman's flabby cheeks shook in bewildered anger. How dare this thing speak to me? They seemed to say, but Kaine saw that her eyes held a different emotion. Fear. Yeah, we're both scared, lady. Trust me on this one. Which way? Kaine repeated. The woman pointed at a small building to her right before hitching up her dress and stumbling off in another direction. Kaine cringed, expecting a stone to come flying from the assembled crowd, but none came. Her mind was filled with a strange sense of pride as she made her way to the apothecary. But the new emotion had little time to take root, for as soon as she opened the door, she noticed a familiar customer at the counter. It was Demo. He'd clearly been sent there on some kind of family errand, because his gang of followers was nowhere to be found. Oh my god, he sputtered. I mean, what are you doing here, freak? The insult was delivered without force, and Kaine happily ignored it. Stretching on tiptoes to see over the counter, she asked the shopkeeper for the medication. Ha, barked Demo. That old bitch finally keeled over? Go to hell, Demo. The boy's eyes grew so wide they seemed ready to fall out of his head. Before he could let fly a comeback or worse, a punch, the apothecary told him to knock it off before he kicked him out of the store. Demo slunk out of the shop, cursing Kaine under his breath. Once he was gone, she allowed herself to breathe once more, taking a brief tour of the shop while the owner prepared her medication. Fluttershy, it's not. He says, it's sad to hear I never met my grandparents. Don't feel sad. I mean, that's something so long in the past. You know, when I was a kid, of course, I always wished that I met my grandparents. But, I mean, you know, it's so long gone, man. Not a big deal. Countless tiny bottles filled the cramped store, each with a label written in some indecipherable language. An ocean of aromas assaulted her nose, creating a scent that was exotic but not altogether unpleasant. Seeing such a variety of supplies gave Kaine a sense of peace. Surely in a world so vast, there would be a place that she could call home. On the far wall behind the counter rested a portrait of a stunning young girl. The picture had once contained bright, vibrant colors, but time had worked its cruel magic. They were beginning to fade. The beauty of the work, however, remained undiminished. You like that picture? Kaine turned to find the apothecary with a small vial of medicine in his hand. His eyes were gentle but sad, and they seemed to stare through her and into nothing as he spoke. That's my daughter. I sketched it when she was just a little girl. She's been dead a long time now. Kaine didn't know how to respond. She just stared at the portrait and tried to come up with the right words. Pictures are wonderful things, continued the shopkeeper. They let the ones closest to you live on forever. He shook his head slightly, then looked down at Kaine and smiled. Handing her the medicine, he reached into his sizable green apron and produced a handful of old wax crayons. You should have these. There's no one left that I wish to draw. Kaine took an instinctive step back, causing the shopkeeper's face to darken. Yes, I've heard rumors about you, he said. In a small village, the word travels quickly. Between you and me, I'm not sure which of them to believe, but I also don't think they matter much. I know your grandmother, Kali, and I think that way that she was driven out of this town is deplorable. Grandma's name is Kali, thought Kaine suddenly. She was still mulling the new fact over in her head as she reached out and gently took the crayons from the apothecary's hands. Your grandmother's an old friend of mine, he said as Kaine scooted away yet again, and I owe her much. I wager she would like it if you drew a picture of her. Yes, I think she would like that very much. Kaine murmured a quiet agreement, but inside her heart it was bursting. Never before had a villager treated her with anything but complete contempt. It was tiny, almost imperceptible step, but it was a step nonetheless, and with enough tiny steps, she might one day discover the rest of the world. When Kaine returned home, she found her grandmother asleep in her bed. Her feet were blackened and raw, even bleeding a bit in places, leading Kaine to think that she had been pacing around the room until exhaustion finally caught up with her. She placed the medicine by her grandmother's pillow and turned to leave, but found the old woman's hand clasped around her arm. Back already, are you? Asked her grandmother with a yawn. Come here and let me have a look at you. Grandma sat up and examined Kaine from head to toe. Finally satisfied nothing terrible had befallen her grandchild, she leaned back and allowed herself to relax. Well, how was it? Those bastards give you any trouble? It was kind of fun, said Kaine with a small smile. No, seriously, it was. Fun, eh? Asked her grandmother in a voice which implied she believed anything but. Anytime you need me to run an errand, just let me know. As she spoke, Kaine removed the crayons from her pocket. After a brief explanation of their source, she informed her grandmother that she was going to sketch her portrait. A portrait of me? Ridiculous. No one wants to stare at a wrinkled old crone. But Grandma, I'll make you live forever. Horse shit, said her grandmother, throwing back the sheet from her bed. Living forever would just piss me off. Now put those crayons away and help with dinner. But Kaine would not relent, and in the end, Grandma found herself leaning against the wall of their house as if posing for a master artist. Kaine took up the crayons, eyed her subject carefully, and set to work. Just as her grandmother was about to nod off, Kaine finished the piece. After staring at it for a bit, she released it from her grip and let it slowly drift to the floor. It's terrible. It doesn't look like you at all. I'm sorry, Grandma. I thought these crayons would, make drawing easy or something. The old woman's eyes narrowed at her granddaughter's disappointment. Let me be the judge of that, she said, ignoring the pain in her back and reaching for the paper. The sketch would have been a person's face. Could have been a person's face. It also could have been a boulder, a lump of clay, or an incredibly misshapen loaf of bread, all rendered in a chaotic array of colors. What the hell? The old woman stared at the picture for a while, then slowly wheezed out a laugh. Oh, Kaine, she said between laughter, you truly are my blood. You're as clumsy as me, and I love it. What? Hush. I don't want to hear any more bull about how ugly you think it is. It came from the heart, and I'll treasure it always. True to her word, the old woman gave the picture a place of honor above the kitchen table. In the days that followed, Kaine would often catch her staring at the portrait with a strange smile on her face, and actually she interpreted it as silent, mocking laughter. A week later, Kaine could stand it no more and asked her grandmother to take the artwork down. Posh, said the old woman. I'll take this down when they roll me in my shroud. She pondered this for a bit and then turned to Kaine and dropped to one knee. Listen to me, girl. Seeing this picture makes me happy in a way I've never felt before. And it makes me want to go on, so that someday you can feel that same happiness. It was a moment that burned in Kaine's memory. A perfect blend of pride and love and joy that came together to form a lifelong remembrance. She swore to never forget that moment, to never forget the old woman who had made her place in the world possible. Time moves on, people and memories move in and out of a life like ghosts passing through a hall. But this moment will be different, Kaine swore, because I will remember it forever. Forever. Shit, there's more. Okay. I received a $1.30 anonymous tip saying it's obvious. I love when people say stuff like this. Well, Phil, it's obvious that solely streaming on Twitch will never work in the short term. You could try to multi-stream on both YouTube and Twitch at the same time. The way you have a higher chance to get more support and some long-term income. Again, as I've already explained, right now, the situation is it doesn't matter where I'm streaming. I need to raise tips and patron pledges, and that's it. It doesn't matter if I'm streaming on YouTube. It's not going to help me at all to be streaming on YouTube right now. Zero. All it will do is create more problems for me, trying to monitor a chat that's completely unmonitorable right now. Long term, I very well might have to go stream on YouTube, but for my problems, there's no reason to go to YouTube now. It won't help in the least. So please stop making these kind of forceful suggestions. It's obvious this will never work. Okay. Okay, that's the attitude to have in life, is to just give up on everything, right? Anyway, Angela Bestia tipped me $1.30 and said, sorry, Phil, I think I missed a lot of the last chapter. Can you go back and read it again? Oh, okay, hold on. Let's restart the game from the loading. I'll reread everything. Yeah, right. So anyway, Angelo, you are the last tipper there so far, so. Okay. We are currently up to $12 in tips. Thank you. Guys, I had no idea that it was going to be like this, but I'm trying my best to read through this and give you entertainment with me reading it. Because, you know, what else are we going to do? It's all text right now, right? Okay, I'm going to ban this idiot. Okay, get the fuck out. Alright. Yes, I will be having a Mass Effect marathon next Friday, 1 week from tomorrow. Alright, let's continue. Kaine listened to the sound of crackling firewood and stared at the black object on her plate. She'd been pushing it around the wooden disc for a good 10 minutes, ignoring the bemused stare of her grandmother. Finally, she summoned her courage and gave the object a brief sniff. A sharp, bitter scent flew up her nostrils as she made it home there, causing her face to twist with disgust. Grandma, I can't believe you want me to eat a bug. The old woman threw some more wood under the cooking pot and snorted. It's no bug, you fool. It's a berry. Why the hell would I be feeding you bugs? Yeah, well, it looks like a bug, said Kaine, and I think it's burnt or something because it smells terrible. With that, Kaine held her nose and threw the berry in her mouth, chewing as little as possible. Oh, yeah, that's terrible, all right. Why, you little brat, laughed the old woman. Look at the sass on you. You've been spending too much time with me, and that's a fact. 5 years have passed since the moment when Kaine's grandmother saved her from the bullies. It's as is often the way with two stubborn people, the relationship had grown in fits and starts, but moved forward all the same. Meals that used to be somber affairs were now filled with laughter and hurled abuse in equal measure. There you go. Alright, Van Wizzle says, can you read this? I love your streams and your chat. Don't stop what you're doing. You're an inspiration. Thank you, Van Wizzle. It's a nice positive thing to say. I appreciate that. Alright. Kaine could not remember a time when she had been happier. As the years went by, Kaine started to shoulder more and more of the daily responsibilities. Her grandmother's legs got weaker by the day, and so she could no longer do any of the chores that she used to take for granted. This morning found Kaine lacing up her work boots with a breakfast of burned berry rolling through her belly. Where are you going today? Asked Grandma suddenly. Kaine looked up surprised. The old woman rarely asked for specifics anymore. Well, I was gonna check out the kelma trees and see if they're right. I thought we could make some jam or something. Oh, and I'm gonna pick up some flagstones, so I need to take the wheelbarrow. Flagstones? What in the hell for? Kaine stared at her grandmother and then held out an arm and swept it around their home. Constructed mostly of cloth, rope, and rubble, the old place sagged like a boxer in the final round. Grandma, a dying cat would shoot through this house. I'm going to build a stone wall so we'll have some protection. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Modapox, who just tipped me $55 and said, hope you're well. Thank you very much to Modapox for a very generous tip. Let's now update everything here. I'm doing well in regards to streaming, in regards to looking forward to this weekend. You know, Resident Evil 8's about to come out. We get to start playing it tomorrow. That's exciting. So it should be a great weekend for the streams. you know, I'm in positive spirits about the future, even though I got some challenges in the near future. I am feeling that I will find a way to make things work. So in general, Motopox, I would say yes. I would say that things are going well. I'm feeling well. Thank you very much for that very generous contribution that jumps us all the way up to $67 in tips for today's stream. Again, trying to hit the tips goal every day so that I can make ends meet this month because of what happened with Twitch. So hopefully I can. Thank you for your support. And it's Gutter Glasses time now. Okay. Are we ready? Alright. Also, BattleDuck 9000 just tipped me $10. Said, oh no, you dropped the reading combo. Now you have to start over. Great. Well, now BattleDuck is the most recent tipper. Oops, I mistyped. Just playing this organ. Thank you very much, BattleDuck. Okay. Well, now the anonymous tipper had tipped again and basically said, oh, I was rude to them. Actually, I wasn't. You were absolutely insisting and saying that something was obvious that's not obvious, first of all. So I'm just being honest here. You were making an assumption that was incorrect. At least I feel that it is an incorrect assumption that I absolutely am going to have to leave Twitch and do something else. I feel that's an incorrect assumption. I think that we're not at a point yet where we can make that determination. Okay? I appreciate your suggestion that I dual stream. All right? Right now, that's not something I'm ready to take on. The fact that we've got a brand new release tomorrow that's huge, that I'll be, playing over the weekend. The fact that we got another big marathon event that I need to do next week now to make ends meet. There's no way that I could be doing that and also jumping to a new service and trying to find a way to moderate. It's just not going to happen. Maybe long term, maybe by like end of the month, early next month, maybe then I can say, okay, let's try this dual streaming thing, or let's try streaming on YouTube. You can't just jump like that. It's not how it works. I can't even imagine how I would have moderators go over there and even do anything in the short term. It would have to be a long-term discussion that I have with them. So, for now, how about this? Instead of, oh my god, the sky is falling. Oh my god, Phil's got to leave. Oh my god, Phil's got to change. How about this? Let's all enjoy the streams. Let's sit here and have fun. If you like the stream, thank you. Please support it. And just move on positively. Stop it with this nonsense. Stop listening to all the white noise around, all the drama bullshit. I'm not part of that, if you haven't noticed. I'm the least dramatic of anyone in this whole situation. I really am. Like, the least drama right now is right here. Let's just chill and enjoy the story of the side B run and stop with this derailing nonsense. Okay? Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. Let's try this again. Grandma, a dying cat could chew through the house. I'm going to build a stone wall so we have some protection. The old woman laughed, exposing her toothless grin to the world. Goddamn girl, if a bunch of thieves want to ransack this old place, then let them come. We got nothing worth stealing here anyway. I'm not worried about thieves, I'm worried about shades. People saw one west of the village yesterday. The old woman tilted her head and stared at her granddaughter. Well, shoot. I don't know why you have to do it today. You can worry about it some other... Grandma, no. If I don't go to the kelma trees, you won't eat tonight. You know that. A confused expression passed across the old woman's face, and for a moment she was a small child lost at a carnival. Yes, she said after a bit. Yes, of course, you're right. I'm sorry, Kaine. Lately, it seems my mind is... She didn't finish the thought. Instead of walking to her nightstand and gently taking the wreath of lunar tears from the drawer, the flower's petals had aged to a brilliant whiteness, and Kaine thought it was more beautiful now than the day she first received it. You're gonna be a true woman soon, Grandma said as she placed the flowers in the girl's hair. That means less chatter about shades and building defensive walls and more talk about how beautiful you become. Annoyed, Kaine reached up to remove the garland, but the look on her grandmother's face stopped her hand. You're a beautiful thing, said the old woman, and there ain't another like you in all of the world. I'm very proud of you. Okay, Grandma, that's enough goddamn compliments for one day. Such a mouth on you. Where did that come from? Gee, I wonder. I'll teach you to sass me, girl, yelled Grandma. Suddenly, she lurched forward and grabbed Kaine by the ears, pulling her around the room with a crazed grin on her face. Grandma, yelled Kaine in a quaking voice. Grandma, stop it. What the hell? The old woman stared at her and blinked and slowly held her wrinkled hands out, as it was the first time she had ever seen them. Oh, I don't know what happened there. I'm sorry, girl. Sometimes my mind just... Kaine thought the look in her grandmother's face was the most heartbreaking thing she'd ever seen. Listen, she began. Maybe I should just stay home after all. No, I won't have you stay here and keep an eye on an old codger like me. You go get your fruit and your wall and whatnot, I'll be fine. When you come back, I'll have a nice grasshopper dinner waiting for you. Kaine rolled her eyes, then kissed her grandmother on the forehead and made ready to depart. trying desperately to ignore the worry that was gnawing at the walls of her heart. So obviously it sounds like the grandmother's mental state is crumbling moment by moment. Probably Alzheimer's or something, right? Probably, or dementia. Could be one of the two. Okay. Kaine could feel the old woman's eyes watching her as she moved down the path. Don't turn around, she told herself, but in the end the temptation was too great. She spun on her heel for one final look and saw a small, bent woman standing in front of a ramshackle hut with a sad expression on her face. God, she looks so old now. It's like the wind could reach down and just carry her all away. Kaine worried about her grandmother all day, causing her work to suffer. What little fruit she could collect was tossed carelessly into the wheelbarrow, and she only found a couple of stones before losing interest in the project. Finally, as dusk approached, she decided to call it a day. Cursing herself for the lack of focus, Kaine pushed the nearly empty wheelbarrow back down the path. As she crested the final hill, she suddenly froze in place. The wheelbarrow fell from her fingers and collapsed on its side, sending a few pieces of wrinkled brown fruit rolling back down the hill. Her gaze was transfixed on a thick black cloud that hovered ahead. Tracing its path with a finger, Kaine suddenly felt her stomach knot in disbelief. Oh gods, no! Her grandmother's house was ablaze, the flames licking up as if trying to touch the sky itself. Grandma! Grandma! Kaine ran faster she'd ever moved in her entire life. Once she tripped on a stone and went sprawling into the rocky ground, but leapt back to her feet and continued running, unmindful of the blood that spilled from her wounded hands and knees. As she got closer and closer, Kaine's mind began to race in time with her footfalls. It's too dark! It's too dark! Not just fire! It can't be fire! There's too much smoke! I gotta save her! I gotta save her! She burst into the front yard and came to a sudden halt when her worst suspicions were confirmed. The smoke from the fire was mingling with thick, inky blackness of an enormous shade. The massive creature supported itself on 3 twisted feet and achieved balance through means of a large armored tail. Scales, horns, and claws sprouted from its body in a random, chaotic pattern, giving it the appearance of a lizard designed by some insane god. Seeing Kaine, it let out a roar and flicked its tail, sending small whirlwinds spinning about the yard. For a moment, the creature retreated into a shimmering, inky blackness, as if her mind was unable to comprehend that such a thing could actually exist. But then the smell hit her. Oh, a blend of rotted meat and excrement, and the horror became real all once more. The creature bellowed again, and this time Kaine responded with a scream of her own. All right, you bastard, she thought as the scream echoed off in the high cliffs around them. It's you or me, let's go! The shade-eyed Kaine, with bemused interest. Then it began looking from her to the house and back again, as if urging her to look at the destruction it had so gleefully wrought. With dread building in her heart, Kaine glanced toward the house. Through the smoke and flame, she spotted a small figure struggling to escape those ruins. Grandma! At the sound of her voice, the old woman began waving frantically. She's alive, thought Kaine. Alive! Kaine's legs sprang to life as she raced through the yard toward the flaming wreckage of the house. Before she could advance more than a few steps, the shade opened its mouth and let out a roar powerful enough to uproot the trees and send them flying. The blast sent Kaine tumbling through the air before smashing her against the rocky earth. Stars danced in front of her eyes as she tried to remember how her legs worked. Get up! Get up! Get up! Get up! Get up now! As Kaine struggled to her feet, the shade stomped toward the house and pinned her grandmother to the ground with the tip of a claw. The old woman struggled to move the claw from her stomach, but she might as well have been pushing a mountain. She coughed briefly, sending a small spray of blood into the air, and then collapsed to her ground. The energy spent. Kaine lurched to her feet to fall back to earth with a gasp. Her ankles were on fire. One or both of them were surely broken. Ignoring that pain screamed through her body, she began dragging herself across the ground, leaving a drunken trail of dust and blood in her wake. Grandma! Hold on! Just a little longer! Her grandmother's face was turning blue, her eyes rolling back until only the whites were exposed. Kaine pulled herself across the ground with maddening slowness, the distance seeming to increase with every second that passed. The shade glanced between the two women and flicked out its tongue, its giant mouth turning up at the corners. Short, panting breaths belched from somewhere deep inside its core. Bastards laughing at us. She had no idea such a mindless creature could experience emotion, and there could be no doubt the shade was taking joy in their suffering. Yeah, I see your plan. The shade moved its claws slightly, allowing Grandma to breathe again. It was clearly keeping her alive, only to snuff out her life when Kaine was close enough to touch her. I'm gonna kill this bastard. Summoning all of her strength, Kaine rose to her feet. There was a sickening snap from her right ankle as the foot twisted backward, but she forced it from her mind and began to hobble toward that monster. Pulling a small knife from the pouch at her waist, she leapt on the foot that pinned her grandmother and plunged the weapon deep. Give her back, she screamed. Give her back to me! It was like a stabbing a rock. After a few swipes, the knife broke at the hilt with a dull snap. The shade panted laughter again, then raised its tail and sent it rushing through the air toward the young girl that was latched to its foot. Kaine never had a chance. The tail struck her square in the chest and sent her crashing into the burning wreckage of the home. As she lay on the ground with blood pouring from multiple wounds, a small, weak voice spoke up. Kaine? Kaine's vision blurred. She forced herself to focus on the sound. Finally, her eyes cleared enough for her to make out her grandmother's hands reaching out to her through the smoke. Grandma? Kaine, you gotta run. You can't pass this one. Kaine grabbed the hands and held on with all of her strength. Grandma, come on, we have to go. The old woman coughed loudly. One of her hands, slick with blood, slipped from Kaine's grasp and thumped to the ground below. Grandma, no, no! I said run, goddammit. You have to live. You have to get through. The thought would stay forever unfinished. Before she could say another word, the shade's clawed foot descended, smashing through the remains of the roof and down upon the shattered figure of the old woman. Blood oozed from gaps in the creature's toes as the terrible putrid smell assaulted Kaine's nose once again. She stared at the foot dumbfounded, convinced that what she was seeing could not possibly be real. When the creature finally lifted its appendage, all that remained underneath was a twisted, unrecognizable mass of rubble and ray. Her grandmother was gone. Kaine blinked, trying to feel the hands which had been in hers just a moment before. For a fleeting instant, she could remember the warmth of that embrace, the trembling of the fingers, but then the sensation drifted away on the breeze and was gone. Memories flashed through Kaine's mind, one after the other, faster and faster, until they became a meaningless jangle of noise. Kaine screamed, then a thunderous sound echoed off the cliffs that seemed to roll away forever. The shade eased forward, black ichor pouring from its mouth and dissolving into smoke on the ground below. The earth shook with every step as it crept toward its prey. Kaine's body slowly rose, as if controlled by a mad puppet master. Her arms and legs were bent at impossible angles. Her head lolled dangerously to the side, but yet somehow she managed to stand. Staring at the shade, her eyes began to glow with a deep red fire. The creature, so confident just moments before, took a slow, hesitant step backward, trying to discern if this broken human could possibly pose a threat. Kaine seized the moment. Laughing like a madwoman, she leapt into the air and plunged the shattered hilt of her knife deep into the leg of the shade. The shade shook Kaine off like a fly, sending her crashing to the earth once again. Her chest rose and fell slowly as if a great weight was resting on it. Moist sounds of pain echoed through her mind. Something warm and thick oozed from her ears. Is that blood? I think it is. I think I'm bleeding to death. No, you can't die. Grandma told me to live. Deep inside Kaine's mind, something finally broke. The sound, the pain, the smoke and flames, all of it faded away until all that remained was a single incantation repeated over and over again. Kill it! 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 Kill it now! As the spark that was Kaine slowly began to flicker and die, she felt her desire to kill and her desire to live blend into one. The distance between heartbeats grew longer and longer and longer. Holy shit. So she was forced to relive all her past.
The beast approaches. Oh, I know.
Here we go. By the way, we got some contributions that came in. I will shout those out after this fight. Figured I should finish up what I was reading.
What anger this creature must have. How could it even survive these past 5 years?
Good question.
I'm not gonna let this happen.
Survived
again.
with the basement.
It dies today.
My sword fits lighter. It's not the blade, but the skill of the user. Strike it down.
Now finish him. There it is. Yes. Yes. Very nice. Took 5 years to kill the fucking thing, but they finally do kill it. It's about goddamn time. Very good. So now we know some of Kaine's backstory, which is interesting, but it still has a lot of unanswered questions. Oh, no, what? We got more? Oh, my God. Alright, that was evil. Are you kidding me? They give you a taste of combat, and then they immediately throw you right back into the text adventure. Oh, my God. Alright. Shoutouts. Another $1.30 tipper says, I'm not trying to derail. There are no downsides to start multi-streaming on YouTube and Twitch. There's a good opportunity you can take advantage of now that you got departnered or no longer bound by contracts. Yes, there is. If I start streaming on YouTube, I have to monitor what happens on YouTube. If I don't monitor the chat and it's completely rampant with nonsense, I could get banned from using their streaming service, just like the same thing here on Twitch. If I didn't have moderators, if I wasn't paying attention to what was going on, I could be held accountable for the stuff that happens in the chat. So, if I do a dual stream, I need to have moderators who are going to be able to look at the YouTube chat and moderate it. In addition, if I'm having a YouTube stream, there's going to be people that are likely going to contribute via super chats, via paid memberships. And I need to shout out those people, which means I need to set up a way to have some kind of a tracking system. I need to have a way where I'm going to be able to do that. I don't have any of that right now. So in order to stream on YouTube, it's not as simple as, oh, I flick a switch and everything just works hunky-dory beautiful. It's work. I would have to sit there and work with my moderators and say, how many of you would be able to switch over to YouTube? How easy would that be? Can we do it for a few days? Do we need to enable a members-only mode or whatever? It's work. I'm not going to do that when I'm on the precipice of having a huge playthrough tomorrow at Resident Evil 8, when I've got a very important make-or-break marathon that I'm now scheduling for next week with Mass Effect. I'm not going to put myself in a situation to fail like that. That would make absolutely, positively no sense from any kind of a perspective, whether it's a casual streaming perspective, a business perspective, just using my head, common sense. It makes no sense. Is it possible that I will dual stream? Yes. Is it possible that eventually I might just have to leave Twitch entirely and stream on YouTube only? Yes. All this is possible. But making a knee-jerk reaction and immediately jumping into something that I'm not prepared for will only result in one outcome: disaster. I am not going to ruin my chances of being a successful streamer somewhere else because I rush into it too quickly. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to plan for it appropriately. I'm going to have enough people who are willing to help me come over and moderate and have a good time. The whole point of people coming to my streams is to have a good time with games, to interact with me, and to chill. If you can't do that because I jump to YouTube and it becomes a chaotic, disgusting mess of trolling, racism, just gross-ass sexist insults, and just nasty stuff, no one's going to want to come to the YouTube streams besides the trolls, which is not the point of my streams. Maybe someone else thinks that's great. I don't care who's on my stream. Let it be a bunch of trolls or whatever, as long as they throw me contributions. I'm not of that mentality. I want it to be a place where people can relax and have a good time with games, interact with me. That's the point of my streams. If I cannot have that kind of a controlled environment, then I don't want to stream at all. So I'm not going to rush into something stupidly. I'm not. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to do this the right way. All right? It may be disappointing because some people want me to rush into something willy-nilly and fuck it all up. I'm not willing to do that because I'm more intelligent than that. Okay? Fair enough. Again, I'm not fooling myself into thinking that there's a 100% chance that I can make this work on Twitch the way that it's been going the last few weeks. The first week and a half, it was going very, very well. Then all of a sudden this week, it slowed down dramatically with this amount of support that I've been getting. All right? I don't know why, but we'll see what happens. The truth is that I need to do something to make it work. I know that. But sitting here and sending me dollar tips on a fucking stream where I'm trying to do a side B run of a game I'm already into, there's a lot of text I got to read through, is not doing anything productive at all. You want to know what it's doing? It's distracting me. So stop it right now. All right? Calm your fucking jets. Relax. Things will work out one way or another in due time, as should be happening. Not rushing into things before you're unprepared and then you fuck everything up. Just chill. Okay? All right. The chat took me $1.30. So the thing is almost as long as a 50-bit cheer question. There you go. Also, I received a very generous $55 tip from Oro Turtle. Thank you, Oro Turtle. That ties you for top tip of the day now. So that would be, let's see here. 55, 56, 57. All right, $57 in tips so far. Right there. Added to this, so that'd be $135 in tips. Thank you guys for the text adventure stream. I really appreciate that level of support. Now here we go. The anonymous tipper tips again and says I'm lazy. So go fuck yourself, because this is ultimately that's all it was. This person does not have good intentions for me. This person wants to see me rush and stream on YouTube before I'm prepared, have it all fuck up, and then I'm done streaming. That's what it is. This person is a fucking asshole. So, like I couldn't tell from the first tip, right? Where you said that, oh, it's absolutely 100% been confirmed. There's no way you can make it work on Twitch anymore. You absolutely need to go to YouTube. I knew from the moment that someone says something like that in that manner, this person was not genuine in trying to help. This person was an asshole. Because this is someone who's already given up. This is someone who does not want to take a positive approach to adversity. This is someone who just wants to do dramatic knee-jerk changes and reactions and is trying to basically fuck with me. So, fuck you. Stop derailing my fucking stream. Okay. I knew it. I knew this person was ultimately just going to end up being a fucking idiot who's going to insult me. I don't know why I bothered. Why did I bother actually thinking? All right. Why did I actually think that this person would be intelligent and well-intentioned? I don't know. I'm fooling myself, obviously. So, okay. Gently, weakly, softly, the shade, sure that its tormentor was dead, turned and stomped off towards the horizon, stopping along the way to bellow one final roar. So what is this now? Couldn't kill it. Shame beyond imagining, Kaine tried to turn her head to the side, but only succeeded in coughing up a huge gout of blood. It was getting difficult to see, and only after a moment of fierce concentration did she realize that her left eye was gone. Laughing to herself, she turned her remaining eye to the ruins of her home and noticed a ragged stump of arm resting a few feet away. Yeah, that's mine, she thought with a mad giggle. This is going to make clapping a real bitch. Ha! Cried a sudden voice from the depths of her mind. Finally going to die, are you? Well, you had it coming. Go to hell, Demo, she thought as an unseen assailant. Go to hell before I pluck out your eyes and feed them to the dog. The voice of her childhood terror evaporated into smoke, only to be replaced by another more recent voice. Hold still, said the apothecary, materializing from the ruins like a ghost. I want to draw you. That way you can live forever. No, stop. Oh, you guys are right. I totally forgot about the vest. You see what happened? This guy distracted me. I've totally forgot about a vest. I'm sorry, everyone. All right. We'll do a vest. So let's think about this now. Recently, I have worn the red, the denim, the beige. I think it's been a while since I wore the camo and the blue. I wore the platinum before all those, but I think I haven't worn the camo or the blue in a long time, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. All right, I'm going to turn the fan up, by the way. It's hot today. Here we go. Let's do the blue. I haven't done the blue in a very long time. For variety's sake, we'll do the blue. Okay. Okay. So we'll do the blue. All right, and then what we'll do is next time we hit the tips goal, I'll probably wear the platinum. Because now I think we're coming full circle. I probably hit every single one. So, okay. All right. This person has continued to tip me $, and try to derail the stream. I'm just not going to pay attention to it anymore. So, I'm just... The guy's literally going in circles. I didn't say that Twitch wouldn't work out. I said that you're not going to have longevity here and you need to stream on YouTube. We already talked about this. We already talked about it. You're wasting your time. All right? I got a game to play. No one cares either. Like, literally no one cares. We're all trying to enjoy a game. Right? We're tired of this nonsense. Okay. Okay. Now. Don't want to live forever. Want to die right here. I see, he said quietly. If that's what you want. The spectral shopkeeper fluttered in and out of existence for a moment. Excuse me. Then produced a piece of paper and sketched quickly. After a few seconds, he turned to the page to Kaine and smiled. By the way, I forgot to update a lot of stuff here. So the latest tipper is Oro Turtle, who also tipped $55. Sorry, but the derailer doesn't get fucking credit on my stream. Okay. Okay. So, it says that he produced a piece of paper and sketched quickly. After a few seconds, he turned the page to Kaine and smiled. Since you rejected my offer, I decided to draw someone else. It was a picture of the grandmother, real as light. Kaine opened her mouth to thank the man, but stopped as the picture began to blacken in the middle. Before she could say anything, dozens of multi-legged insects began to swarm across the image, tearing it with sharpened pincers. What the fuck? Stop! No, don't hurt that picture. Kaine reached out with a remaining arm and waved futilely at the air. To her surprise, the insects fell off the picture and to the ground below, where they vanished into tiny black tendrils of smoke. Relieved, Kaine turned her good eye back to the picture, only to open her mouth in a silent scream. The sketch now showed her grandmother as she truly was, a smashed, unrecognizable lump of nothing. The apothecary smiled and broke into a jolly dance. See that? He cried as he danced his jig. It's perfect now. She looks just like you. Ha-cha-cha-cha-cha! What the fuck? I look like that? Oh god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Drowning in despair, Kaine laid her head back in the mud and smoke of her ruined house and waited for the end to come. Just before she let everything go, an unfamiliar voice began whispering in her ear. Ain't you got a wish, sunshine? The voice was vulgar and fierce at the same time, as if insanity had somehow found a way to take form. Kaine wanted to scream as the voice crawled under her skin, but her lungs refused to work. You know, a wish like a prayer or something? Why don't you get on your knees and start praying to heaven? Please, invisible man in the sky, save me, save me. Ka-ha-ha-ha-ha! Okay. Kaine finally resorted to shouting at the voice with her mind. I don't make wishes. They don't come true for me. I'm a curse. I'm a freak. I should be left to die. The other voice boomed in her ears. Bwahaha! Oh god, you are the best. Kaine glanced down and saw a black, shiny substance oozing from her legs. She tried to brush it away, but her remaining arm would no longer respond. The substance crept about her feet and then began moving up towards the rest of her body. Is this death? Is this what it's like? Or is my mind just losing itself? She could feel the slime oozing upward, feel the hot, searing pain that it left in its wake. Whatever else might be happening, she was still alive and this was real. Come out, said the voice. Let it go. Kaine tried to ignore the voice and concentrate on the pain, but the newcomer would have none of it. Don't ignore me, sunshine. You're ready to give up, ready to die, so why not let me have it? Have what? Your body. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me. I want to stand on the ground, feel the rain, and taste the wind. The voice paused and licking its lips. When it resumed, it was filled with mad, unabated joy. I want to take your hands and use them to choke the goddamn life out of people. I want to tear out their throats and bathe in the blood just like before. In response, Kaine shifted her head and vomited. The warmth of it crept down her front and mingled with the pain of the encroaching black ooze. Are you a shade? Ha ha ha, maybe, what of it? The slime reached her face, crept up past her nose, and slowly oozed to the socket of her missing eye. The moment it touched her brain, Kaine was struck by the most powerful sensation she'd ever felt in her life. It was ecstasy. She wanted to scream with delight. All she could manage was a small whimpering moan. Feels good, don't it? Asked the voice with a chuckle. What can I say? I know how to please the ladies. Oh my god, here we go with the perverted talk. Give me your body. Come on, give me the body and I'll give you more of this feeling. It's a fair trade. A black lump began to protrude from Kaine's side. As she watched, it grew larger and thicker, eventually taking the form of her missing arm. I can see better, she thought. My eye must be growing back too. The slime reached up to envelop the rest of her face, but she managed to brush it away. Stop, she whispered, marveling at how she regained her voice. Stop! The black ooze hesitated, as if considering the request, and quickly shimmered down her body before disappearing in a cloud of smoke. Ah, what the hell, Sunshine, screamed the voice. We had a deal. I thought you wanted to die. God, your grandma said I can't die yet. A brief image of her grandmother, bloodied and broken, flashed before her eyes. She saw the shade had killed her, and heard its mocking laughter, then closed her eyes and forced the image from her mind. Her whole body was quaking with rage. When she opened her eyes again, they burned bright red. That thing took my grandmother. I have to kill it before I die. Kaine glanced down and saw a mysterious pattern. A pattern of the shades burn itself into her left arm. I'll be damned, said the voice cheerfully. Look at that, Sunshine. I think you and me are going to be good friends now. Kaine stared intently at her arm, and the more emotional she felt, the more the letters seemed ready to puncture her skin and begin infecting the rest of her body. Excuse me. Her arm clearly had a will of its own now. Stop, gotta stop. Holding her arm in her right hand, holding her left arm in her right, Kaine took a deep breath and tried to calm herself. Come on, don't fight it, pleaded the voice. Heat's my favorite dish and I'm hungry. Feel that anger. Let it go. Burn with the fire of revenge. Thirst for blood, go out there and... Shut up. Shut up and get the hell out of my body. Your body, that's rich, Sunshine. Real rich. Look, why don't you just up and die so I can have this body to myself? What do you say? I bet those buddies of yours in the area would love to see you dead. Kaine grabbed a nearby shard of glass and tried to saw off the shade-infected portion of her side. Before she could, her darkened left arm grabbed her right wrist, crushing it. Kaine screamed and dropped the shard as the sound of bone crunching on bone filled the air. Ha ha ha! Stupid idiot girl, you're possessed now, Sunshine, and there's no going back. The voice laughed again, a loud, long wail that seemed to go on without end. Possessed, whispered Kaine. Yeah, possessed you and me? What you call a timeshare arrangement. Remember how folks used to think you were a freak? Well, wait till they get a load of you now. Kaine looked up, tears in her eyes, and the sky seemed smaller somehow, darker. Is this because of that shade? Is this how they see the world? Listen, purred the voice. I know the whole possession thing seems a bit sudden, but it ain't all bad. There's plenty in it for you, too. I'm a very powerful creature, Sunshine. Know that power belongs to you. You got enemies, people you want to kill? I can make that happen. That fat little kid who kept picking on you? That big old shade that squashed your granny? We'll wrap them up in their own assholes. No more abuse for you, Sunshine. No more pain. Wait, said Kaine. You're a shade. Why would you help me kill another shade? What, you think I'm some kind of racist? Some killing snob? I don't give a goddamn who you murder, honey pants. I just want to drink from the well. Kaine considered this as she struggled to her feet, the power of the shade coursing through her. The smoke from her house was drifting away with the wind, and she enjoyed the way the cool evening breeze felt on her new left arm. After a long pause, the voice spoke up again. How about it, you and me? We could have some good times together. Look, I'll even take care of the bloody part if you don't want... Fuck off, asshole, muttered Kaine. I'll handle the killing. Kaha! Screamed the voice. Look at you go! Oh, Sunshine, we're gonna have so much fun. So listen, my name's Tyran, and if you ever need me, just be hanging out in this piece of meat that you call a heart. Now, get to it! The more you kill, the more your heart turns rotten and sour, and I like rotten and sour. Kaine found herself nodding at the voice. Yeah, she said, I think this can work. I'm gonna find that shade and I'm gonna strangle it with its own guts. When I'm done, I'm gonna do the same to you, Tyran. Count on it. Ha! Laughed Tyran. I've shit bigger than you, so good luck with that. Oh, and hey, one more thing. Right now, you and me are sharing the body. If you ever run out of hate, if you ever, go soft, then I'm gonna take over everything. So keep on killing, Sunshine, and watch your back. The voice grew fainter and gradually faded away, fading to somewhere deep inside Kaine herself. Kaine waited until she was sure the voice was gone, then waved on her new left arm around a few times. It feels perfectly normal, she thought. It feels like mine. Desperately, she began poking and prodding at the new limb, determined to find something wrong with it. She didn't want it to feel normal. That would mean the creature inside her had already won. I'm not a shade, I'm Kaine. Repeating this mantra in her mind, she slowly began digging through the rubble of her house, being careful to ignore a certain red-stained spot in the corner. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of heartbreaking work, she found what she was looking for. It was the wreath of lunar tears. Though it had been through hell and back, the garland's petals were as bright as ever. Kaine started to place it in her hair, and slowly lowered the wreath and stared at it. I'm sorry, Grandma, I'm so sorry. But I don't deserve to wear this anymore. I'm possessed, corrupted, a freak. At this time, I don't think there's any going back. Holding the flowers to her heart, Kaine fell to the ground and sobbed. As night gradually lightened to dawn and the people of the area rose to their daily lives, she remained in that position as if tears could somehow wash away the horror that now affected her world. Wow.
Alive. Stay alive. Stay alive.
Okay.
Kaine, you gotta live. You gotta come back to us.
So technically she died, and then a shade saved her life, right? I guess that's what they're getting at here.
Oh, hey.
She recognizes him.
Emil, you were the one calling me, weren't you?
You still recognize me?
Of course. I knew you right away.
Thank you, Kaine.
What a story this is, man.
Welcome back.
Everyone's completely fucked up in this game. Everyone's got a fucked up life.
Wow. You grew up. So, how long has it been?
5 years.
Shit. That's a long time. Any luck with Yona?
We are still no closer to finding her. We need a way to locate the Shadow Lord.
By the way, this is for you.
Is that a lunar tear?
It's not as good as your grandmother's, but I tried.
No, it's great. Thank you.
Okay.
Kaine waking from her long petrified sleep. Emil's unflagging kindness. Our reunion was a happy one, and we let it wash over us like rain. That is, until Devila and Popola had to go and ruin it all.
Right.
Are you kidding me? You can't be serious.
So, you know, now that we know the ending, right? Why did Devila and Popola basically throw them out of the village? Was there an end game to that? Did they feel that if they were there with the villagers, they would screw up? I don't know. It's kind of weird why they came to the determination they needed to leave the village, right? Okay, anyway.